Hey everyone, it's Sally Eslin again here with our Magic Mike Moments. And today I'm very fortunate to be sitting down and having a chat with Katie Gordon, who is from Brisbane in Queensland. Hey Katie, welcome and thanks for coming along.
Hey Sally, how you going? Thanks for having me on today.
Yes, and I'm loving your background. It's made me feel relaxed and wish I was up there on the beach with you. Looks beautiful. So let me just give you a little bit of a brief intro to Katie. Katie is the founder of Dietless Living. She's a weight loss coach who developed the online weight loss 6-step mind body transformation program, Dare to be Happy. So she started Dietless Living after struggling with her own weight and yo-yo dieting for a quarter of a century. Who can relate to that? Her search for a program that would provide sustainable weight loss became a bit of an obsession because she just didn't understand why she kept relapsing and regaining the weight. I can't wait to talk to you about this one. So all of her spare time was spent learning all that she could about psychology, biology, and physiology, including becoming an NLP and neuro repatterning master practitioner, being professionally trained in Ericksonian Hypnosis. You must tell me more about that one. Results coaching and subconscious reprogramming. And she studied naturopathy, kinesiology, suicide intervention skills, and psychosomatic therapies, just to name a few. And she's also done a lot of work in the areas of spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, and everything in between. Whoa, whoa. So even more, Katie educated herself and went from the unhealthy lifestyle of a 21-year-old to an all organic life of a mature woman. There was nothing she wasn't willing to try. She even had all her amalgam fillings removed as she was told it was the toxins that were keeping her fat. Wow. So you've done every lotion, potion, pill, powder, shake and diet, but always found yourself back where you started. So after finding yourself overweight yet again in 2011, she looked at the 300 strategies she documented and picked the one she'd had the most success with, and she called them her freedom codes, and developed a program for herself to change the habits and behaviors she wanted to change so that she could lose the weight her way. And in that year, she changed her health and her life and lost 20 kilos. Wow, 20 kegs, that's enormous. So Katie now helps others to have choices, freedom, and control by overcoming their obstacles to losing weight and changing the habits and behaviors they want to change so that they can lose their weight, because there are thousands suffering just like she was. Wow, Katie, you are a top chick I'd love to be having this conversation with today. Wow, so welcome. What an experience. You've studied so much. Just what's Ericksonian hypnosis? Haven't heard of that one.
Well, Milton Erickson is like the father of hypnosis. So it's just learning his style of doing hypnotherapy.
Yep.
To help people with their patterns and, changing behaviors and all of that sort of thing. And it's really, really interesting and really great. And having been on the receiving end of the hypnosis as well, it's such a lovely therapy to be a part of.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've really done a lot of research over the years and a lot of study, and you've lived the journey, right? So I'd love to hear a bit more about your journey and some of the challenges. I mean, as you said, from 21, you were sort of living quite an unhealthy lifestyle, as a lot of us were. We're young, we're free, we're out there partying and all that sort of stuff. And then it starts to impact on your body. As you get older, I found it just like, oh, it doesn't budge anymore like it used to budge. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what you've learned along the way.
Well, it is like you say, at 21, I went from a size 10 that I'd always been to a size 16 within 6 months of my 21st birthday.
Whoa.
I didn't really understand anything of what was happening or why that happened. And, my first reaction was just go and get some diet pills from the doctor, which, I did. And then it sort of just all of that, just get it off me. Because I didn't know what to do, I wasn't really into food or wasn't, didn't understand healthy lifestyle and stuff back then. And so all of those pills and the crash diets and just back when I was 21 and you go, I'm just not going to eat for the weekend. Well, now it's just called fasting, right? And detoxing, and it's like, I think when I did it, it was just called silliness. But maybe there's a different style to it these days, a bit more pizzazz and consciousness about it. But eventually, it sort of goes, okay, these things aren't working. Tried the gym and tried proper weight loss programs. I think I did Sure Slim and a few other random ones. I never did Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig, but I did quite a few and invested a lot of money in doing those programs. But my biggest aha moment was in the, I don't know, about in the early 2000s. I'd actually been a horticulturist for 10 years. Wow. And I was working at an aged care hostel. And in that time, I got to be really friendly with the people who lived there, with the residents, because I would be gardening, they'd come out and we'd chat, and it was a nice relationship. But eventually I started to realize, this is what's waiting up ahead for me. This place or places like this. And some of the people there weren't actually very old. They were only, in their late 60s. And it's like, maybe I better really kind of think about what I'm doing with my health, not just lose weight, give me back a bikini body, but, what's happening with my health. And I went off to study naturopathy, which I was doing at night while I was gardening. And eventually I didn't quite get to finish my naturopathy course because they stopped offering it as a night class, and I couldn't take on the day classes. But from that kind of, that was the catalyst to moving me forward, going, okay, so it's going to be more about health and where you're going. And I ended up working in the organics industry after I finished being a horticulturist, and I was there for 10 years. I worked for a certified organic skincare company. And in the time of working there, I worked really closely with the lady who formulated all the products, and, I ended up working in the R&D department with her. And she was really, really into organics, obviously, and, food and everything. She was always trying to make new, wonderful products. And I learned so very much from that time with her, backing on to, my naturopathy studies and just kind of expanding it. But over that 10 years of being there, my weight cycled up and down, up and down, up and down. And I noticed that the people I worked for, there were 5 directors. It was a multi-level marketing company, but so I got to be quite friendly with a lot of the top reps. But over the 10 years, sort of, it just became apparent to me that an all-organic lifestyle was great, but it still wasn't resolving the problem that we have with our habits and behaviours. There were still people drink, myself included, you kind of break out and have these drinking weekends, or, you're just trying to release stress all the time. I noticed that their health wasn't even really that, we're all going to die of something, for goodness sakes, but, they were still getting cancers and stroke and heart attack, and there was still relationship problems with people. And it's like, there's got to be something else here that we're missing. I always thought the all organic lifestyle was the answer to everything. If you were a green person, and all of these philosophies, but it really came down to having realized through my studies and things that I'd tried loads of, I'd had a million NLP sessions and hypnosis, and for me, they were really good. Like, they helped me with a lot of things. But when I thought about my eating behaviors and how they manifested, they'd flare up. They were like a bushfire, consuming a forest. Whereas each time I had an NLP session and stuff, it was like it was putting out little spot fires for me. And it just kind of like, there's got to be something else, like some blanket thing that I'm missing. And I think I was always looking for the shortcut. You want that one thing that just bing, bang, bong fixes it. But it really wasn't sort of at that point. Well, it was after I got to that point that I went, I've got 300 strategies and I've tried these things and they've all helped a little bit, but I need to string them together in some way so they become a lifestyle rather than a a moment in time kind of thing. And that's what it became.
Fantastic, because what I really love is, based on all of your studies and everything, it's a holistic approach to and incorporating that into your lifestyle. So it's not just the physical. And I know the feeling of, powders and pills and potions and everything, because as a PT, I would never recommend anything unless I tried it myself and found that it worked or I found it beneficial, right? So when you've got this holistic approach, a lot of it's mindset, right? So as you said, getting into the habits and behaviors, because 5%, we're only conscious of 5% of our behaviors. 95% are just autopilot. They're just trickling along. So through your experiencing, developing all these different strategies and taking, as you say, not just the quick fix, but bits and pieces here and there, and putting it all together as a whole package, it's fantastic. Because I have actually studied naturopathy and homeopathy too, way back in the 90s, and that sort of started to build my awakening and awareness from the more unhealthy lifestyles in my 20s, which I just thought that's how we were all living, and then just started to get a bit sick myself and went down that path, and it starts to open your eyes. Another thing that I really liked that you mentioned was, working with the older people, and I love hanging around older people because there's so much wisdom they can impart. But as you say, you can also see, actually, do I want to be in here at 68? Like, holy moly, no, that's only around the corner, really, and it's just like, life's too short, and like 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40, 60 is the new 50, there's, with awareness, we can prevent this illness or prevent aging. A lot of the, the difficulties that can be associated with aging, if we're aware of it now. And I think doing what you're doing, overcoming those obstacles. And yes, it's about losing weight, but it's getting into where the weight's coming from, all those emotional things, that emotional state of mind. You're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, you're not feeling good about yourself. So boom, 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 all the unhealthy habits come through. I see it all the time with my clients, apathy, well, what's the point? Boom, straight into the unhealthy habits. And so wow, you've really had a really interesting career so far, and it's all based on your own journey, which I love, because you can get into the heads of other people and understand what they're suffering or going through, because you've been through it yourself. And I think I know everybody I know has yo-yoed, right? Instead of this consistency, because we're perfectly imperfect, we go along, but we're emotional beings. So how much, what are your things about emotions affecting the body, as into your behaviors and things? It's dealing with your emotions. Is that sort of your key part, or?
Absolutely. That really is the key part, right? Because whenever we've got to deal with something, whether it's somebody leaves us, cuts us off in traffic, traumas, whatever it is, it comes down to how it's felt and received and interpreted, and then continued to be rehearsed by our nervous system. And it's those emotions that we have to overcome to be able to have a different reaction, to create different results and have different experiences. And for me, I never really understood that. I didn't actually understand emotions. When I first decided to do my program back in 2011, and I had that realization that I really know what everything is called stress. We have one blanket word. And really what I was feeling was all kinds of things, but I couldn't really articulate what they were. I actually had one of those sheets with all emoji faces on it. Right? And I would sit and look and go, how am I feeling now? And try and articulate to myself which emotion it is. Because unless we can really name it, not for any other thing, but to go, I'm frustrated. It's really hard, when we just call everything stress, we're not really participating with our own experience of what's happening to us at that moment. And then it's really hard to modulate your way out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about having that awareness, right? So that you can react differently. Emotions are enormous. They affect all of us, and it's emotions affect how we deal with life on an everyday scale. So wow. So
they are our life, aren't they? I mean, that whole life is
emotional beings. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
We feel everything, right? and how we, think affects how we feel, and it's that whole cycle there. So what do you reckon is your superpower? Why are people drawn to you? What's your magic or your essence about what you do and why people really come to you?
My superpower, I think it really is tenacity. To keep, I love getting to the heart of a problem. I will dig around, like in work that I've had.
Yep.
I'm really good when you put me somewhere where I have to solve problems. I will take days to get to the right thing. And I think that's really the same with the weight loss. I just was never satisfied with what I had been told about different things, and just wanting to really understand that reason in myself, what was really going on there. And I think that's what people resonate with, that come and work with me, is that I can explain to them really well that it's like it's all the dominoes fall. The food that we eat is the last dominoes. So I think that's it. I think they just resonate with me, that I've been there, I've lived it. It was an arduous 25 years. And so I think that's it. Probably just.
And plus you're real. I do know that comes across very strongly when I've met you. You're just a real person who's lived the story, and you're able to pinpoint their core issue, which then flows on with all these other behaviors. Yeah, that's really cool. So then with the clients that you're working with, what's sort of the biggest issue facing them?
Well, it's actually not the weight, right? The conversation starts at, I'm overweight and I want to lose weight. And about 5 minutes in, the conversation ends up being about my problems at work, or my problems with my relationship, or my financial thing, or whatever, where we're living in a state of survival in some place in our life, or we're just living in a lackluster life. We're simply not happy. I think, I remember for myself, it was really my realization that I wasn't unhappy because I was overweight. I was overweight because I was unhappy.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, so basically, you're just saying the core issue isn't usually the weight, it's what's going on behind that. Why they're feeling crappy and not happy, what's actually So yeah,
I love that, from crappy to happy.
Yeah, that's one of my little sayings, just because life's too short to be living a crappy life when we should be living a happy life. COVID's taught us a lot of that. So yeah, which leads on to my next question. So you've had a really amazing journey, and as you said, 25 years were really challenging. Over this whole period of time, and the knowledge that you've acquired, the experience, the hands-on stuff, and the wisdom also, what would you say are your top 3 tips to help people who are struggling probably with their weight?
Well, I think the first one is we always jump in, boots and all, right? When it comes to time for a diet. I know I was. It's like, now's the time, it's going to happen.
Here we go again.
Yeah. But really what we need to do is just kind of take stock for a minute, instead of going, I'm doing it today, rip, shoot or bust, my mum would say.
Yeah.
Is sit down and actually make a plan of what it is that you want to change, not just the food, but how you're going to fit everything in, the exercise, and because there's a million other things that have to change.
Yeah.
Just make a plan and then roll it out incrementally. Don't try and all start it all in 1 week. Too much change is a recipe for disaster.
Yep.
The second one is when it's time to lose weight, I always remember myself, I was just focused in on the problem and getting a result, which meant that if my scales or the tape measure weren't showing me what I wanted, I just basically abandon it half the time. This isn't working. But it's really about focusing on the process, not the result. Focus on what it is you're doing, get good at the process, your results will come. And while you're focusing on the process, get about the business of living the life that you want to be living when you've lost the weight. And also just I always expected all the people in my life to support me when I was on a weight loss journey, which meant all the people I worked with, family, friends, everyone. And it's not always true. So think about or understand that that's a reality. Not everybody does support us. And don't take it personal. Just kind of, accept that that's where it's at, but don't let it derail you from your point of trajectory where you're heading.
Yep.
And even think about it in advance and proactively problem solve it, which means to go, okay, well, I think maybe my partner isn't that keen that I'm going to lose weight. Maybe I'm going to be too sexy and gorgeous, and they might worry. So proactively problem solve means, okay, well, how would I deal with that? And have conversations with them and just constantly be reassuring, connecting and inclusive, because that's how people start to feel safe. So our job is to make people feel safe in that space.
Yeah.
But also some people are just going to be some people, and we just need to take that on board, but keep going forward.
Yeah, really, really, really good tips, because it is your own personal journey and your expectations. You've got to manage your expectations of who's going to be there to support me, or what sort of support do I think that I might need. And that's where the problem solving comes in really, really well, because, it is, it can be a lonely path sometimes. It's like,
it can be. And that's the thing. We think it will be, everyone will rah us on and cheer us on. And it's not always true, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't go forward and do achieve what we want to achieve.
Absolutely. And that's where you've got to stand in your own power and your own resilience and have the confidence to push on regardless, because it's your own personal challenge. It's nobody else's. They can be there to support, guide you. And as you say, feeling safe as you go through the journey, because I know from running a gym and with personal training, a lot of people would prefer to have the one-to-one coaching because they were embarrassed to get back into fitness, to losing the weight. And it's I'm so embarrassed. I've allowed myself to get to this stage and I don't want to be amongst other people. It's very private. And so the weight loss is a private journey. It totally is. So very cool. So and leading on from there, because my mantra this year is about letting go, stepping up and being more of your authentic self. So over the years, what do you think has been the key thing that you've let go of? And how have you stepped up and how have you become more of yourself, your authentic self?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think, and I haven't done it completely, I don't think.
Oh, everything's a work in progress.
Letting go of the personality and persona I had, not just of myself, but that's who I was known as.
Right.
As like I said, come from the 21-year-old. It was the kind of old drinking, old smoking, old dancing kind of a lifestyle, and I was actually a really grumpy bum.
I had fun stuff.
No, I was a real grumpy bum. I had a lot. I was socially awkward, and I used staunch, cranky persona just to keep myself safe. I can say that now in hindsight. I had no clue back then. But over the journey of everything and, going through mindfulness and all of that, it's like I got to let go of that part of me, because it's not really, like I couldn't transition to be here in front of you unless I did that, because I would never gotten on camera at all. So I think that's that was the biggest stepping up and letting go for me. And with that, I did have to let go some friends that didn't quite accept me as I became.
Because people are on different trajectories, right? So as you're shifting, lifting and growing, just people aren't always on the same page. So they're on different train tracks, if you like, and grow at different rates and go down different paths. And, you know, that's awesome that you've let go of that more unhealthy side of you and the behaviours and stuff. And we've all done it. Oh my gosh. As we age, I think we really have to face it, right? We can't keep going on the way that we were, or we will get sick, or things will get worse. So,
well, exactly right. You know, we're going to be around for a long time. And I used to always have in my head, like lots of people, I'll probably be dead by 55 kind of thing, you know, and it was working with the aged care. It was like, why would I even think that?
Yeah.
And what if I end up to living to 70? What am I going to do with those bonus years if I've already ruined the vessel, you know?
Oh, you're hilarious. The bonus years. I'd like to be spending my bonus years, you know, outdoors and being active and moving, not on a Zimmer frame and stuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like my dad didn't start traveling until he was 68.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he only got in 10 good years before his health caught up with him and whatnot. But it was like, you know, all those little things, it's like, ooh, I really want to have good health at the end there, you know.
You're so talking my language, because one of the things I love to bang on about is preventing illness down the track, because it only takes little tweaks now to have momentous impact down the track, because it's just like, we're not sick now, so we don't worry about it, but let's not wait till we get sick. And as you say, the bonus years, I absolutely love that term, bonus years. Like, you know, let's start building up our bonus years now, you know, by the little things that we can do, and even just losing some weight and creating the positive lifestyle, which is what we're really doing, right? Because the weight's just the flow. What people think they need is the weight loss, but it's really getting to the core issue, which is what you work on.
Yeah, it's living a good life, you know. I mean, we're all going to die of something. That's the whole thing. There's no escaping it. And I know from personal experience of people who have, you know, been the all wonderful, healthy, meditating lifestyle, but they've still died early from, you know, things that weren't preventable. You don't know what's going to get you. But the point is, for me, you don't know what's going to get you, so be happy the whole way through and look after yourself so that you can get outside and move and travel and whatever, go socialize and just live a good life.
Absolutely. You're so talking my language. It's about being happy as you go through your journey. It's not getting to the destination. So it's every day everything's a choice, right? Every day we wake up, we can choose to be in a positive headspace or a negative one, and choose to do ourselves. I mean, we are our harshest critic, you know. Turn this inner critic into an inner coach when you get up. You know, you can do this. You're beautiful. You're awesome. You know, building up that self-love and that self-worth, that inner stuff that really can do us undone if we don't sort of boost it up. Yeah, amazing. I could spend hours talking about this. We're just so on the same page. So at the end of the day, there's so many things, but what's the thing that you're most passionate about? What drives you? What really gets you up in the morning and you know, puts a smile on your dial?
It's still the obsession with human behavior, right? And still me, like I still do baffling stuff, but I'm onto it now, you know. I'm so aware of most of what I'm doing, but there is still things that, you know, happen and I go, oh, I've been asleep, you know, like I've been asleep at the wheel of my life. I thought I was being completely awake and aware and making rational, conscious, you know, logical decisions.
Yeah.
But I so was not. And it's that thing that just makes me go, you are so tricky. God, I don't know what your religious beliefs are. I just go, look, whatever created everything created us. Yeah. And, you know, whoever created this, they were having a bit of a laugh about how they were putting this together, you know, like it's all back to front, because it's not until you get to the end and when you realise, all of this, you know, we want that first, not last, please.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. So down the track, how would you like to be remembered? What sort of legacy would you like to leave? Seeing we're talking about that anyway.
Well, you know what? I have a couple of big lofty dreams.
Yeah.
One of them is, from having worked in the aged care industry, is I would love to have an aged care facility where I apply all of this and everything else that I know with great people like yourself where people come into the facility, but they are rejuvenated and then sent back out to independent living, which isn't currently what happens. And I thought, what do? You blend in all the kids who need extra grandparents and parental support, like kindergarten should be a part of it, and the doggy rescue place should be a part of it, because they all go together. But I also have a real passion for wanting to make a difference in the life of home carers. So people who are looking after, it doesn't matter whether it's their disabled family or friends or just their parents or whoever. But I've known many people over the years who are home carers, and, they're just outstanding people, and they really don't get the support that they need, which is this emotional support, and as well as, time off to go and do things. I have this lofty dream of, partnering up with Richard Branson and sending them all on holidays all over the world where, just to them and their loved ones, or just them, there's a lot of work to be done out there to help them.
Yep. I just absolutely love that, because first of all, one of my ultimate dreams is to open a low-cost sort of access for older people to holistic healing and help, so where because they put in the hard yards and their body is now wearing it, or have got these issues or challenges from years and years of working and doing things, and might have a backache. It might be just simply a physical thing, or, might have been living with stress and they just want to, calm down the anxiety, whatever it is. But as you stop working, you've got less income, so you're less access to all these beautiful therapies out there. And I would like to have a centre where people can come, and it's low cost, and they have the opportunity to get access to these therapies that, when you're working and have more income, you can cover. But the other thing you said about that emotional support, I was chatting with someone a while back now, but we were talking about people who have been carers for people who have terminal illness, and they dedicate and focus all of their time and energies, particularly family members, to parents or other people, particularly with cancer or something that can go on for a while, or some illness, motor neurone, or whatever it is,
dementia, all of them,
all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden the person passes and they're just left with this emptiness. And it's really frightening of how they have to readapt into a new lifestyle, particularly after it's been a number of years. They've dedicated, been selfless, put all of their time and energy into the person, then all of a sudden they've lost themselves. Then they had to redefine themselves, redefine their purpose. So it's giving me goosebumps even talking about it. Like, I just love that you've got the big picture too, because why not? I think Richard Branson's the top dude. I'm sure he'd love you.
He'd be on board, right? He'd be into it.
Is that like Necker Island, the picture in the back there?
Yes, exactly. They're all going to Necker Island.
That's fantastic. I just really love what you're doing, Katie. And so do you want to tell me a little bit more about your program and how people can get in contact with you?
Yes. Okay, lovely. The 6-step mind-body transformation, Dare to Be Happy, is an online course. It's only $995. It's 29 fun, easy activities that simply do change your life by helping you develop the skills and knowledge and the mindset to overcome all the obstacles that we have to losing weight and then maintaining that weight loss and preventing the relapse back into old habits, because that's what tricks us up in the end, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that relapse.
Yeah. Preventing the relapse. And as we've discussed, this is all based on your own experience and bringing in your own personalized strategies. And what I love is this is a program that you've put together, tailored yourself, based on your experience. It's not a marketing thing, it's a multi-level thing. It's something that you've so passionate about because you've lived it and you've created it after, as you said, 25 challenging years trying to find the secret to what's really going on. And as you said, it's identifying that core issue, because it's, the weight is the external, but it's, what's going on underneath that, peeling the layers off of the onion to get down to what emotions are stemming from and why they're there. Yeah. And,
developing new skills for dealing with life, right? I use food. That's ultimately what it came down to. And when I was 21, I went from not using food to deal with my emotional states to using food. I didn't know that was what was happening, but that's what we do. We're using food. Same as some people, use gambling or drinking or smoking or whatever. Yeah. It's that going, okay, I need to work out how to deal with life in a different way. And it's just day by day, right?
Yeah.
That's why the course is as long as it is, because you get an activity each week. It's like dance steps, you're learning to dance, to do the cha-cha and whatnot. You just learn one step at a time and you go, I'll never be able to learn it. But you do. You learn one step, then you learn the next step. You join them together. Then you learn another step and you join it together. And before you know,
we're on the dance floor.
Yeah, exactly. And you have fun along the way, right? I mean, learning to dance is the same as this. You're having fun from the very first activities because you feel a complete relief from how you've been thinking and feeling, because suddenly you've got a new way how to think and feel, a new perspective.
Yeah.
And so it's great from the get-go.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic because you're basically empowering people with their day-to-day to utilize healthier tools and techniques that what they've had in the past. And it's just, we're all about changing habits and behaviors, and it's all about simple, small steps, because otherwise it's overwhelming. Well, that's so I think it's just brilliant. So how can people get into contact with you, Kate?
Well, they can go to the website, which is all the W's, katiegordon.me. They can come and find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Come and send me a LinkedIn request and let's catch up there. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. I'm also on YouTube, but I post a lot on those. But if you want to come and chat with me, come chat with me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Katie, so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat today. We're two like-minded chicks. We're just, you're talking my language, and it's just awesome. And I think, particularly because so many people I come across, I've just run a goal setting class, and, some of the theme is I just want to lose 5 kilos. I just want to lose a bit of weight. And it's like, hit the 50s, everything's changing. And I think your program is awesome, and it's so cheap. It's like, for under $1,000 for 6 steps and 29 different activities, that's really enormous. It's priceless. And to feel happy about yourself, right? Get rid of that stuff that's dragging you down.
Yeah, to be able to live a happy life even when it's shit, right? Because we're not painting a picture that I'm certainly not painting a picture that life will be all sunshine, lollipops and rainbows, because that's just not how life works. But it's how to be happy on the days it's still shit.
Oh man, you're hilarious. I can never see you as a grumpy bum.
Oh, trust me, I was. See, everyone can change, right? 11 can change this spot.
Yes, 100%. Well, Katie, thank you so much for spending some time with me today and talking about who you are and what you do and where you've come from. Really amazing. So thank you so much. And I look forward to keeping on track and see where you end up with on Necker Island with Richard Branson.
You'll be there with me because we'll be working together, helping everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Well, thanks again, Katie. We'll see you again next time. Bye, everyone.